be sure to check out Rob Plays. There you can hang out with me while we play video games and talk about life stuff. So with Suicide Squad coming out this week, in addition to the various character discussions, what I wanted to do here is offer some videos on different aspects of the Joker. And what I'm hoping is that at the end of all this, you'll have a good idea of how all these concepts come together in a way that provides a well-rounded discussion about his character. So in terms of the Joker's origin, DC has actually provided a litany of stories from different writers over the years, and while some of these tie into previous stories, others are entirely self-contained with no reliance on existing content. Jumping back to 1951 with Detective Comics issue number 168, Batman co-creator Bill Finger offered the Joker's first origin in the story titled The Man Behind the Red Hood. Centering on Batman and Dick Grayson hosting a special segment on criminology at State University, the two focus on the case of the Red Hood, one which was never solved due to Batman and Robin tracking the Red Hood down to Ace Chemicals, who in turn jumped into a vat and escaped. Where the story would see the students in the class reopening the case and prompting the Red Hood to come out of retirement, the events transformed into a chance for Batman and Dick Grayson to discover the identity of the Red Hood himself. Engaging in a cat-and-mouse game after Red Hood broke into and robbed the campus payroll office, the story saw the identity of the Red Hood to be a man named Earl Benson, who was actually an imposter. As it was explained, the robbery of the payroll office was performed by the real Red Hood, but following this act, Earl Benson captured the Red Hood, stole his uniform, and engaged in a series of ancillary robberies with the intention of using the identity to escape without being discovered. Forcing Earl to bring them to the location of where the original Red Hood was held captive, the story revealed that the Joker himself was the original Red Hood and operated as a criminal. While an oxygen tank concealed inside the hood allowed the Joker to survive, his exposure to the vat of chemicals transformed his physical appearance, and in turn, he decided to use this physical form to both terrify people and commit crimes, christening himself the Joker as a tribute to Ace Chemicals. Now following this, the next iteration of the Joker's origin and commonly considered to be the most definitive story came in 1988 with The Killing Joke by Alan Moore. Capitalizing on the work of Bill Finger in Detective Comics 168, The Killing Joke provided the events leading up to the Joker jumping into the vat by explaining that the Joker himself had been a chemical engineer working for Ace Chemicals but quit his day job in an effort to become a stand-up comedian. Failing in this endeavor but recognizing the responsibility that came with supporting his wife Jeannie and her unborn child, the Joker found himself tumbling down the rabbit hole and into a business with two criminals who looked to rob Ace Chemicals. Providing the Joker with the Red Hood identity, the story revealed that the two criminals were actually a team and had been duping individuals into helping them with crimes, pawning the scheme off on the accomplice by claiming that the Red Hood was the leader. Finding himself in the same situation where Joker attempted to back out due to his responsibilities as a husband and eventual father, after discovering that his wife and unborn child were killed and during the robbery of Ace Chemicals and subsequent fall into the vat of chemicals, the Joker's personal struggles as a failed comedian, the loss of his family, and the physical transformation he sustained from exposure to the chemicals all came together, driving him insane and creating the version of the Joker that we know today. Now following this, between 1988 and the current day, most all of the Joker's origins have in some form or fashion drawn on the information established within the pages of The Killing Joke, either expanding on the information offered by Alan Moore, or else changing things up a bit. As an example, in 2004 as part of the Gotham Knights series, a monthly line of comics designed to focus on Batman's extended cast including Alfred, Batgirl, and others, but ended up focusing on his villains, the 5-part story Pushback written by AJ Lieberman established that during the events of Killing Joke, the Joker's name was Jack and his wife had been murdered by a police officer who had been paid off by the mobsters. In addition to this, within the pages of Batman Black and White, writer Paul Dini and artist Alex Ross came together for a short story titled Case Study, which saw a psychiatrist analyzing old interviews from both doctors and criminals who had worked alongside and examined the Joker. Using this as a frame of reference, Case Study offered the possibility that the Joker was actually completely sane and used the guise of the Joker's insanity to avoid execution for his crimes, as well as maintaining his role as a criminal within Gotham, using his frequent interviews with various psychologists to promote the perception of insanity by offering different paths to different people. Furthermore, writers have also focused on the childhood of Joker, providing both detailed and veiled allusions to his life prior to the Killing Joke, covered in Paul Dini's 2009 series Batman: Streets of Gotham, which focused on the concept of Batman but from the perspective of both criminals and civilians on the street level. The House of Hush storyline offered the idea that the Joker had previously been a boy named Sonny who was cared for by Thomas and Martha Wayne before being kidnapped and sexually assaulted by a mobster named Sally Guzzo. As part of the New 52, writer Andy Kubert wrote Batman issue 23.1, designed to be a one-shot focusing on the Joker himself following his reintroduction to the New 52 with Death of the Family. While it's only covered in a few pages, the Joker flashes back to his childhood, where he was cared for by his abusive aunt who looked to force Joker to give up his attachment to a stuffed animal by scrubbing his skin with bleach and bragging about how she murdered the Joker's uncle by way of a Colombian necktie. Now, following this, and under the writing of Scott Snyder as part of the New 52, the convoluted history of the Joker's origin saw a wholesale revamp using both previous themes and creating wholly new content. Building on the concept of the Red Hood, Snyder established that where the Joker had previously used his moniker during his early days as a criminal, leading to his exposure to the vat of chemicals, during the events of Endgame, which came as Snyder's planned conclusion to the Batman epic designed to put the Caped Crusader against the Joker, the work of Snyder modified the Lazarus Pits of DC Comics to not only be a source of immortality for Ra's al Ghul and Vandal Savage, but to also be a source of immortality for the Joker. Describing the Joker as the Pale Man who encountered the pits prior to his rise in Gotham, the Joker spent most of his time in Gotham proper, orchestrating a series of grisly crimes and murders. While the purpose behind this origin was to depict the Joker and Batman as the dichotomy of an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object, the ending of Endgame was presumed to kill off the Joker, allowing Snyder to write Bruce Wayne out of the comic temporarily in an effort to make way for Jim Gordon to take over the role. Having said that, as part of Darkseid War and going into the launch of DC Rebirth, which serves to return DC Comics to its classical story-driven roots using both recognizable and new content, the origin of the Joker appears to be in the midst of a revamp yet again by way of Batman learning that instead of one Joker, there's actually three. However, because the story arc's still being fleshed out, albeit at an extremely slow rate, there is no information in existence at the moment as to who these Jokers might be or where they came from. With that being said, we're going to wrap this up, and just out of curiosity, if you guys have your own theories on who you think the three Jokers are or what time period they come from, post a comment down and let me know, and I'll pick the best three, and I'll actually do a video on those later on this week, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.